Hello, everyone. This is Lark,
And Kimberly.
and this is auto asphyxiation. I know you're like, wow, we are talking about things outside the car, but you know what? We live in a complex system, and everything's connected. Everything's connected. And today we're talking about, wow, that's weird. I'm like kind of disappearing. We're talking about Delaney Hall. um and the horror that has been going on there. Delaney Hall is a large, well, I think it is the largest
It's the largest on the East Coast.
in the East Coast.
Yeah,
And it's operated by the private GEO group under $1 billion contract.
for 15 years. Yes.
And yeah, it is, just so you guys, in case you want to know, is at 451 Doremus Avenue in Newark. All right, South Newark, as they call it. Am I saying it right? Newark.
I think it's Newark.
I
I don't
always
know.
say I.
I'm not from the area,
I'm not from
so
there. I always say I'm from Greater Newark. I say I live in Greater Newark, and I say that not to be like. I always tell people, if it's for a grant or something like that, and you have to live in Newark or something like that. I never try to take stuff from Newark. I want to be very clear when I say I'm from Greater Newark. I mean, like, I'm in solidarity with the people there. And also, something's very interesting. And I'm sorry, and I'm kind of going off topic, but Newark was kind of founded by this guy who uh, was kind of like a utopianist.
yes,
And so it means I realized, oh, New Ark. Oh,
New
I
Ark.
get it.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, and it's so funny because my husband from the Midwest was like, you need to use that. I said, I think people have already been using that. I don't think we just discovered that. I think we discovered it, but I'm sure others have also
Y-
realized the whole utopian New Ark Christiany thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've realized that. I'm sure people have referenced it. I mean, a lot of times people do kind of say, "Oh, New Newark, like New Yorker," but it's not. That's not. It just happens to have a similar word. Kind of like Lakeisha and Nakisha are not the same name,
No, they're not.
and Waukesha are not the same name. And that's not even I'm making a joke. I'm not even making a joke. I'm just saying, good on you for not laughing. I wasn't trying to make a joke. I was just kind of like showing like it just happens to be like words that sound the same, but they're not really the same word. Anyway, let's kind of like get into this. There are a lot of things going on with this situation. Um, ICE was there. Um, and then the state, and it got, things were happening, and then the state police came in, and then local police. You want to like give a little rundown, Kimberly? I'm not trying to put
Sure.
pressure on you.
No, sure. So it there's been ongoing protests since it reopened in 2025. They have largely remained peaceful. However, on May 22nd, an organized hunger and labor strike was started by the detainees over inhumane conditions. The conditions being reported are worms and maggots in their food, metallic tasting, undrinkable water, no medical care. There's been a couple of prior instances also at Delaney Hall. Newark Mayor Roz Baraka was, as you know, arrested by federal law enforcement on May 9th of 2025 after accompanying several members of Congress on an oversight visit to which they were denied access. On the same day, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver was charged with assault after trying to prevent Baraka from being arrested. She still has to go to court for that, and she's facing up to 17 years in prison. So in solidarity with the detainees inside, the protests have been ramping up since May 22nd. And the initially it was ICE policing the area, and that wasn't going very well. There were reports of tear gassing. They pepper sprayed Senator Andy Kim. Um, which is just like, what? He was attempting to de-escalate the tensions between protesters and ICE at that time when he got pepper sprayed. In addition to all of that, our governor, Mikey Sherrill, was not permitted access to the facility for an oversight visit. But Representative Rob Menendez did make a visit on May 26th, and stated that the strike is continuing because conditions have not improved. So, our governor put the state police in charge of the protest oversight, and it went just as badly as when ICE was doing the oversight, if not worse, because state police were on horseback trampling protesters.
So we are in a challenging position. So we have a lot of things going on here. Um, and we have lots of backstories. We have lots of side quests, lots of backstories from when this whole thing started. And not this incident, but the protests in Delaney have been going on for, I want to say, a year at this point.
Yes, yeah,
A
about just about
year,
a year.
about a year. Um, and I remember they, from the beginning, one of the things they said was, we're not going to, they felt that a lot of people who were taking place in the Delaney protest, the ICE protests, were saying the 50501 protests weren't really doing anything. They want to do something more concrete. Um, and so this is kind of like, has been the tone um, of, of actually doing material, like changing the material conditions of people. So this is actually very good because it's kind of like, we are making sure that people who are detained, they are getting, their family members are getting food, they're getting clothes. I mean, that's a lot of stuff is going out. A lot of like, how can we, connecting people with resources. It was kind of like a connection point so people could get like things, get services, not services, but get mutual aid type of support,
Yes.
while their loved ones were essentially kidnapped and put into a concentration camp.
Yes, because
Um,
a lot of those detainees were the breadwinners in their families, and now their families are left high and dry. And the volunteers also at Delaney Hall, Delaney Hall has a really, really strict dress code. And there's volunteers to provide clothing for families that come to visit, who have been denied access or may need to like they don't have those clothes to not wear tank tops or Crocs or what have you. The volunteers will provide it there for the families.
yeah, so these are all things that are definitely needed, and are definitely very important. Um, but what was beginning to happen was, well, I think it was really interesting. ICE was behaving very badly, and the state police did overreach, not overreach, but they were violating people's rights. Um, One thing I think it is still good that ICE is gone. Not is gone, but they're no longer policing, right? The ICE is no longer policing, and visitation was brought back.
Yes.
And I think we're in this really weird position because what I'm seeing now, okay, first, I saw some people, some of our old comrades who are no longer speaking to us, were like, Andy Kim was not even helpful. Who the hell is he? Okay, I'm like, I thought Andy, people, essentially, I was like, what? They're like, don't fall for it. Don't fall for Andy Kim, being supportive. He wasn't. Um, which do not, again, do not. I find that questionable. I don't see how he was not being helpful. But then on the same token, you have people who are still salty about our now doesn't even look as nasty as was compared to what's going on with the local election, but nasty governor's race, where okay, look, I know this is really weird for people who are not from New Jersey, but there was a camp going on. There was a Fulop Kim camp, and they were like one group of people. Then there was a Ross Baraka camp, and then there was the Sherrill camp. The Kim, I think, is trying to paint himself as the anti-Sherelle, which great. I don't think there's any problem with that. I'm not even judging the fact that Kim is painting himself as the anti-Sherelle, the more left candidate. I think that's important to have that. We call it the window of conversation. You're kind of like pushing that window, pushing the conversation so that we can have a more progressive, even a more progressive New Jersey. I think New Jersey is progressive in some ways
in
if
some ways.
if you're white. It's
Yes.
progressive in some ways if you're white, if you're middle class. It is
Yes.
progressive in some ways. Um, and we have a really good school system, really good pension. I know that people don't believe this, but compared, there's nowhere that you could live like you do in New Jersey in regards to having a house. If you have a middle class job, you have a house and like work in Manhattan. I mean, we don't have that option in Los Angeles. We don't have that option in San Francisco for you to have we have one of the most expansive, what you call middle incomes in the country. I think
Yes.
I call this the end of suburbia. This is it. This is the end of suburbia. This is exactly like essentially the American dream dies here. If it dies in New Jersey, it's dead because there's nowhere else that exists like New Jersey. And I say that with, and people don't believe me when I say I'm like, this is probably the most socialist place, even more so than like Oregon and like Vermont. People are like, no, no way. I'm like, no, I think for more people, for a wider range of people. Um, and what was my point there? So my point is we have some fights going on in New Jersey. So we have people who have been waiting for a misstep from Sherelle
Oh,
so that
yes.
they could come for her. Like they're just like a second term should be unacceptable now. And I'm like, whoa.
It's so early in her first term. Can you just take a deep breath and
We all said the state police went did not handle this well. And she knows this. The goal was to get ICE removed from facility to calm people down. Now the thing is this, and I'm not making excuses for Sherelle, but another thing, the challenge is this, because neither of us were all even on Team Sherelle. We say that we were like, once she got the nomination, we were like, okay, now we're going to support the nomination because we have a fascist in the White House.
yes.
We need to keep our eye on the ball.
Yeah.
I know people are very kind of like, screw this, screw everything. This we cannot let disaster patriarchy take us down this weird road of like, oh, well, she should dismantle it. Well, friends, I just want to talk about something. Delaney Hall is not a state facility. It's a
No.
federal immigration detention center. We already talked about that, run by a private company. And owing to the Supreme Court, which we're still trying to follow, federal immigration enforcement overrides state authority. So the federal government controls immigration detention centers, and the state can't block or shut it down. Not the way we want to shut it down.
Yeah. They
DH,
that
DHS can, okay, the people who have the power are Department of Homeland Security and Congress. Who has control of Congress, children? Who? Why
not
can't we impeach the president now? I feel like people just like I feel like some parts of the internet are run by C minus history students because
I like the C minus.
Remember Janine Garofalo? And she was like, she went back in time and she's like, damn it, I wish I had paid attention. I wish you guys had paid attention too, because we are having conversations about things that can not happen. Now, they could happen if we had a revolution. Does that look viable to you, Kimberly? So the
No, it
revolution look is coming right now. I'm like I said, I'm not trying to be negative Nelly here.
no, I'm not trying to be negative Nelly either because as you know, like I support revolutionary actions. But these people are not ready. that's the thing. These people are not ready. Like there's no real like system set up. Even as far as like, we saw the Minneapolis response to what happened there with ICE. And we need to follow their playbook. They set up like they shut down their city. They didn't go to work for a day. They set up mutual aid networks to make sure that people were safe, people had food, like kids were getting walked to school and stuff like that. Like that's something that we need to adopt if you truly want to move towards a revolution.
Well, I knew people. I was talking to some people who were kind of like, "Yeah, yeah, this is great, blah, blah, blah," but I can't go because I got to go to work.
That's the whole
Also,
idea. It's the whole idea, bro.
I was just like, "What?" You're like, you know what? Screw Sherelle. We need to go out there, but I can't go because I
I
got to
can't
go
go.
to work.
I gotta
This
go work.
this is a problem with, in a way. I guess this is one of the challenges that you have. This A lot of people are having a good middle class lifestyle in New Jersey. They're not willing to lose their job immediately right now. They're not ready to walk away from that job immediately, and they're also concerned about their cars. I keep telling people you could take the 25. How are you going to do a revolution if you can't take the 25 bus to Delaney because you're afraid?
Yeah. No, but that seriously, like, like that's the rub. Like nobody's ready for it. Like, where's your food stores? Where's your medical backup? Like, where's like your skills? Like, I don't.
We can fight. I've been taking taekwondo. That's what that's,
Have
this
you
is what
really?
this is what they've been doing. Practicing fighting.
Oh no. Okay.
I've been going to the range. Okay, well what happened? So how are we going to eat food and stuff?
Yeah, there's important steps in addition to learning how to fight and defend yourself and defend your family and whatnot. Like that's what it just, I don't know.
No,
It
no,
just
yeah, yeah.
really irritates me that like they're not thinking of they want to jump to the bloody revolution without thinking of or preparing for those necessary things leading up to the revolution.
And I know, and the thing is that irritates me is that every commentator, when a person who I could just tell is salty because their candidate didn't win for governor, is like, no, Sherelle's a piece of crap. She didn't do anything. She didn't do anything because no, you're number one, you don't want a revolution, so just stop it. You're still salty about the whole Fulop thing. Let it go. I think it's so interesting that Ross lost, immediately signed up with Sherelle, was like, okay, we need to all be a united front. MacGyver went to jail. Again, united front. And okay, what's Fulop doing right now?
Oh, he's
Oh
got a
yeah,
cushy job.
he's essentially giving away Jersey. He's still part of giving away Jersey City to Manhattan. See, this is the problem I'm having. The candidates that you guys wanted, because you guys are more left, were essentially gentrifying the hell out of Jersey City, giving it away to any developer who wanted anything. And now they, his parting gift was to give the streets away to like a little robot machine called Pop or something. I forgot the robot, Robo Cop.
Oh.
I don't know, some machine.
No, RoboCop, I'm not ready.
I'm trying to find the little machine that Fulop gave. He said because it's going to help the environment. And and they're going to pay people $20 an hour. And and I brought up this, and I'm going to bring this up really quickly, and then I'm going to like let you talk. I'm really sorry. Coco,
Okay.
yeah, Coco, the robot is going to be coming to deliver food. So
Oh.
that's why they wanted the bike lanes to be fast, but they didn't want the delivery guys to be unionized because now they have it anyway. Back in the 90s, friends, there were two pop stars. They were huge, Brandy and Monica. Now, those of you maybe who weren't into African Americana land, Brandy had a show called Moesha. And she also sings songs. And Monica also had songs, and everybody was just like they were fighting. They didn't get along with each other. It was like fighting between two pop stars, Monica and Brandy. And then, as the middle of their fight, you know what comes out? Britney Spears, "Baby Hit Me One More Time," and that was done. That was done. There was no more Monica. There was no more Brandy. We never heard from them again. And I want for the studio audience, we don't have studio audience, but I want studio audience to know that Chris Christie is back. You guys folks know that? Did you guys folks know that Chris Christie is back? And not only is Chris Christie back, his friend is running a newspaper, the New Jersey Globe.
Isn't that cute? And then didn't that friend serve time in relation to the Bridgegate scandal?
I think he was had a felony or something. I think it got something. I don't know what happened, but anyway, something happened, and they were all connected, and now they have a newspaper, and they're running the debates. And
You
see,
know,
I think in New Jersey we have this weird thing. People love fighting, and I think that a lot of people think the fight that's happening right now between, and again, I'm gonna tell you something. I like Andy Kim. This is no shade towards him. No shade towards him. It's a shade towards his consultant. So, because what are you doing, man? Because everybody sees what's happening. Now, we think it's going to be a Kim, Kim against a Sherelle type battle. Okay, Kim, we call it, yeah, Kim and Mahia and Ross against Sherelle and Booker. Okay, we don't think, no one's even thinking about the Republicans that are waiting for infighting to happen to suck up that residual racism that's always in the air in New Jersey. I
yes.
mean, and this is what I think people need to be. We need to come together. This is not about, oh, peace. This is about, I don't want to die because you guys can't stop fighting and you won't let it go. I get it. I get it. This is New Jersey. You never let stuff go. You guys get mad at people, and you get mad at people for like generations until people die in heaven and hell. You take the debt. You take it to hell. Can you stop? Just until November. Can you stop fighting? I don't know.
Because
Like, what do you think?
I think Chrissy pops up like a freaking herpes blister. Just, he just
At the
waits
worst fucking
at
time.
the
I'm just about
worst
to go on a job
time.
interview.
Yeah, exactly. He just pops up like a herpes blister, just like, hey, don't forget about me. And like you're right, like everybody is worried about the infighting with the Democrats and the progressive Democrats and who's against who and what's against what. And we really do need to be looking at the Republicans who are just waiting to come in and grab up and suck up all those little votes.
Yeah, because they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and I'll tell you something. Okay, yes, with Sherelle, I think the thing is that Trump was just so out of pocket that she won. But when Phil Murphy won, it was close.
Yeah.
It was close, and people are feeling, and I feel like a lot of people who claim to be left are not left. I've seen some certain moves by certain people who say they're left, but yet every time they do something, people who are Republican co-signed onto it, which I find highly interesting.
Yes.
Highly, and I don't know, we're talking in code. I hope we're not talking in so much code that you're like, what are you talking about? But in New Jersey, I think you guys do know what we're talking about. And just so you know, we want you to know that we know. We're not going to say what we know, but we know what you're doing, and we see you. I see.
We we got our eyes peeled.
Exactly. And also too, when we want to say like, okay, well, what has New Jersey tried to do? And kind of going back to, instead of hearsay, going back to facts. In New Jersey, they did pass a law banning private immigration detention centers in 2021.
Yes.
But then a federal court struck that law down in 2023. um, so the thing is, there are a lot of things that they can do at this point. They can, and they have been trying to do that. Attempting to do inspections, publicizing denials. But that's the thing: we can't publicize denials and then be like, "Oh, and Sherelle, screw her too." Keep the eye on the ball, people. This is a long game. We gotta play the long game like the Republicans did. Like, I'm not even trying to be. I mean, I'm not even saying the Republicans, like the fascists did, because they're
Yeah,
not
no,
Republicans.
that's we have to play the long game. Like we can't do the rash actions that we might want to do. We can't do, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm talking about politicians and political wise. I'm not talking about people, civil disobedience, good trouble. Like, please, by all means, have some fun. I hear those flock cameras are full of precious metals. Um, but
Exactly.
we need our especially the left progressives to really like step into their roles and do what needs to be done so that we can win the midterms and possibly even be able to recapture this government before it crumbles all into dust.
I know this one. I'm sorry. The people, instead of trying to battle to get power, can you stop for one moment? I am so sorry. I want to tell you guys, folks, something. Okay, in the Democratic Party. All right, Kim, Sherelle, you guys aren't that different. All right, you're not. I know you think you are, but you're not.
You're
So
not
can you?
different you're not different enough to be infighting at this crucial moment in history.
You're just not. So please, just for the love of God, and also too, in Essex County, everybody running for office. None of you are that different. Stop fighting.
Stop
Just,
fighting.
just let it go. Whoever wins, yay, move forward. Please don't do. Please today. What happens today on June 2nd? After whoever wins, be happy, move on, work together until November. That's all we need to do. I promise you, if we can hold it together until November, I promise you, you can be as evil as you want to in 2027. I will support you in doing whatever you need to do. But right now, we need to come together so that we can stay alive. But
But it's like,
another thing the state can do is they can restrict how they cannot cooperate with ICE. Okay, they could do that. They could essentially talk to people who are in Congress who have oversight powers. Um,
La
you know, Go ahead.
LaMonica MacIver is actually on the Department of Homeland Security Oversight Committee, which
Exactly.
is really good for us here in New Jersey with what we're dealing with now with Delaney Hall.
Yeah, yeah, and she's doing what do you call it, the No Delay Act with Bonnie Watson, who's leaving office. Ooh. And Menendez, which will require DHS to allow members of Congress to carry out oversight responsibilities in detention facilities without obstruction or delay, which they have been doing. Ensure that members of Congress can be granted immediate access to detention facilities and cancels any agreement or contract between DHS and entities that do not comply with the requirements of the bill. So it's doing what it's saying. This is what you actually have to follow the law that says you have to follow the law. So no delay for Immigration Oversight Act, which is a great act. Another thing they can do, and I think this is something that Ross is doing, is kind of like, okay, the that private corporation, it's not, it's called GEO. I want to keep calling it CEO group.
And it's GEO Group,
GEO
yes.
group, what they could do is essentially, treat them like an employer. They're an employer. What are they doing to their employees? How are they treating their employees? They can do it because they're still working in the state. They can still make it very hard for them to operate by making sure that they treat their workers correctly. They
Yes.
essentially follow the law. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm agreeing with you. And I also, like, I heard that there was a lot of stuff that was reported inaccurately about stuff that went on the ground. I think I shared a couple videos with you. Um uh as of recording, on the 30th, in the evening, there was protesters in masks who started to use the barricades and attack the police and whatnot. And this whole time, they've been sent, protesters have been making a ring around Delaney Hall exits so that they cannot move detainees because they're trying to move the organizers of the hunger and labor strike out
Mm-hmm.
in hopes that it'll break it down. And it has been reported, and Governor Sherrill also said that the protesters started a fire. But reporting on the ground, and there's been a couple of people that that our listeners might know of. Jolly Good Ginger was there. He's a veteran. He goes around the country to all of these protests. He reported that the state police actually started the fire because they were firing projectiles and like tear gas canisters and things like that, and it hit this pile of debris and it caught fire.
Yeah. So I mean, this is, we're dealing with a really, situation. But another thing we also need to do is remember to keep our focus on the people, on our fellow citizens that have been kidnapped and are in concentration camps. We need to
Yes.
keep our focus on that. I mean, we don't want a situation, and this is not, you know what I mean? We don't want a situation where essentially, especially in Newark, where a person gets hurt and it's a white person. Not that I don't, not like it matters, but it kind of does matter. And then it becomes centered on that one person. We
Yes.
want to make sure that people of privilege, how can I say this in a way? I want, like I said, I think I appreciate people, but also too, we want to make sure we know how the system works. We want to make sure that the people who are that are suffering are continuing to be centered. And that's going to be hard. Because especially in a situation like this where you feel like I need to do something, I need to do something. I want to be a hero. I want to do something. I get it. You want to do something, but sometimes when you're protesting, it takes discipline. It takes you being better than these other people. Of course, these cops are doing horrible things. They're always doing horrible things. You have to be better than them. And I know that sucks to hear, but it we need to keep our focus. And the focus needs to be, you know, these people being treated fairly within the system, even though, like, okay, you know what? One thing I want to say is this. We keep saying it's a private prison and this is bad, but you know what? If it was public, it would still be bad.
If it was public, it would still be bad. It
Just
would
kind of like we're
no,
having a conversation with like kind of like, oh, it's ICE. Oh, but the state police, okay, that's just as bad. The same thing with ICE. It's not this wouldn't be better if it was a public facility. I
no,
want us to be sure that it's not just because it's ICE, who are regardless of who's doing it, whether it be ICE, whether it be the state police, whether it be be local police, um, concentration camp, whether it's privately owned, whether it's owned by the government, still all bad, all bad.
it's
There's not
still
like
all
it's
bad.
one. Yeah, we want to make sure that because the thing is that's again we want to keep our eye on the ball. You shouldn't lock people up. Not, oh, you shouldn't lock people up in private prisons. You shouldn't lock people up who didn't do anything wrong.
No,
That is something. But also the other strategies, another thing we could also do is I do think that we should continue talking about this. Continue not make it normal. Like I think that's another thing that's important. It's going to we're going to have a very challenging thing where we want to make sure that we continue talking about this and continue acting like it's not normal. Like you can't normally, like essentially, this is what happened in Newark. The reason why that facility, um, why that facility exists and why certain things in this country exist is because essentially locking up Black people have become normalized. So it's
yes,
not viewed as some kind of like, oh, that's bad. Even when LaMonica and Ross got arrested, it was not viewed as Black people are supposed to suffer. It's normalized. It's not viewed as a weird thing. So it's like you're not going to get like that same kind of response. And I think that we can't turn this situation in regards to immigration we can't let that become what which has sadly already been a thing when it comes to Black people, where it's like, well, you're supposed to be in jail. That's your place. That's kind of what you do. Um, and we don't want that to happen in this case. We don't want to normalize that. The reason why we have flock cameras, why do we have flock cameras? Because people who are Black might come into our neighborhood. So essentially, all this infrastructure was already normalized because dehumanizing Black people in New Jersey was so normal. So when other people but the thing is that now that people are being locked up in the same system, we have to go, this is not normal. But once this is over, we should again go, this is not normal. This is not
It's
normal for anybody.
It's not normal for anybody. And ICE's own data shows that the individuals inside Delaney Hall do not have criminal records. A reminder for our listeners, a lot of these people are green card holders that were nabbed at their immigration court hearings, like grabbed on the street. A lot of these people did in fact come into the country legally. That's what you have to understand, is that they're just grabbing anybody who fits a profile.
Yeah, and exactly. This is another reason why we really do. The reason why, Ross and put up a curfew, because we couldn't have we wanted a situation where we want to de-escalate it and we wanted ICE to leave the area, because regardless of what ICE in Newark, it puts everybody at risk. Because we're just grabbing people off the street. They're just grabbing people off the street. And he needed a situation where we need to calm that down so that ICE could leave.
Yes.
But again, you can't have the state doing that too, because the state, the Newark police, they've have notoriously have had problems, not problems, violated people's rights. And they can't do that with anybody. But this is something that's a challenge.
And
And I think, go ahead.
I disagree with protected protest zones and First Amendment protest zones. Like I think that is that's an absolute violation of our First Amendment right of free assembly and free speech. Like I don't agree with those little areas where, oh no, you need to protest here. Like no, fuck that. That's not what protest is. It's supposed to be disruptive, not in a neat corner.
No, it's true. I mean, I also don't believe in safe zones for protests. Um, on the same token, I also believe in self discipline for if you're going to protest. If you're going to protest, I don't want a state to impose in regards to, I don't want the state to impose where I can protest. My First Amendment is I can do what I want to do. I can manage myself. But also on the same token, I also want people that I am protesting with to understand what we are doing. Like, control yourself. You know why we're here. Why are we here? Are we here to engage in adventurism? No, we are not. So I think that as long as you communicate to your comrades, well, you make it say you should do that. But it shouldn't have anything to do with the police. The state shouldn't be organizing you, but we should be organizing ourselves. And I think that's something that we need to talk about in another another podcast, because that's going another conversation. Um,
I also want to say that the Proud Boys showed up on Saturday, March 30th, which is disturbing to me. I don't think Proud Boys belong in Newark in any way, shape, or form. But I'm also happy to report that they were marched off the property by the protesters. The protesters followed them until they left the property, chanting, "Defend immigrants, fascists, go home."
yeah, I'm glad that that was something that went away quickly. Um, because I think that's another thing. We had the Republican Party there. Yes. No, we had both kinds of fascists there. We had the fascists in ties and we had the fascists in boots that were there. I remember I was looking at some, and I think that's another thing. Again, we're having this conversation where all of us on the, like, people on the left or people who are progressive, we're doing this kind of like infighting type situation. And then kind of like this, like how everybody got together during that protest and walked the Proud Boys out and came out and walked the Proud Boys out. Can we do that on a larger scale? Can we
Yes.
can we use that example and go, okay, even though we don't all agree with each other, can we all at least walk these people who are trying to oppress us out and use that as an example? That's actually a good micro example of what we could do nationally.
That is a very good micro example. And it really does tick me off that there's so much leftist infighting because if everybody is so thirsty for the revolution, we have to work together to make that actually happen. We can talk about the differences between us, like anarchists, this guy, that guy, communist, socialist, whatever. We can talk about that after. That's the whole idea. We're supposed to talk about that after. Like, we need to work together to make these things happen, to restore democracy in this country and get rid of the fascist that is in power. And it astounds me that people are still so focused on infighting. People are still so focused on infighting on you and I that they won't organize with us. They won't talk to us. There's a fucking fascist in the White House. We can talk about the things that separate us later on.
I'm still amazed about that. I'm like, you guys are still mad at us? Really?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. I have to ask one person, I said, but there's a fascist in the White House and you're still mad at me? Well, at least he keeps it real. Okay, you know what? You know, I don't think I could do about you people. Nothing I
No.
can do about you. And with that, we're gonna have to wrap it up because we've been talking a long time. Um, but we need to talk this conversation. So with that, thank you all for listening. YouTube, Spotify, Substack, and we're gonna have another event July 19th.
July 19th. Yes.
Yes. So you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much for listening.